Once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I'm Josh, a.k.a. the Rock Eternal.
I don't know.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just a cool name.
Okay.
It's a quote from Apocalypse in the old X-Men cartoon.
Okay.
He had the best quotes, and one of them is, "I am the Rock Eternal. Crash against me and be broken."
Alright, that's cute.
It's like you are...
No idea what that has to do with this movie.
Nothing.
Okay.
It's cool.
Okay, I'll take it.
So, we have a segment we call Hits and Misses.
We do.
Do you have any hits and or misses you'd like to say?
Not specifically hits or misses, but I just want everyone to know that I am aware that the Samson episode is not our strongest.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's my fault. It was actually the universe's fault that day.
Yes.
It was the hardest fucking thing to edit, Josh. Oh my god.
Because we spent the first...
And hopefully nobody could tell how hard it was for me to edit because I had to cut so much out. That was a day, I don't know if you recall.
Oh yeah.
Friend.
Oh yeah.
You were in a mood, I was in a mood.
Oh, what mood was I in?
You were grumpy as fuck
was
that
I?
day, yes. And that was partially because Nugget would not stop being the worst thing for podcasting. He was playing in boxes with plastic. He was pooping. He was eating. He was all over. He was puking on the floor multiple times. He interrupted every 5 minutes.
Did I start getting grumpy, or did I start grumpy?
You definitely started, like, you already had some shit going on.
Okay.
And then Nugget was not making it easy on you. And then the military base near your house decided it was time to run some drills. And an airplane flew over this house.
Like 20 minutes?
For like 20 minutes, yeah. And we'd think that we were safe. And we'd start talking again. And we're not good enough at this yet to know how to pick up where we left off in any way that can be smoothly transitioned. So yeah, it was a nightmare. There was something, I think there was something else too. I can't even remember. It wasn't your neighbors. Usually it's your neighbors.
Yeah, the rhinoceros that lives upstairs.
Right, exactly. The family of them. The rhino family. So anyway, if it seemed kind of piecemeal...
It was.
It was. It was a quilt.
Yeah. After we finally managed to get clear of everything, I think it worked out.
Right.
You have a lower opinion of the episode than I do.
Yeah, but I also had my face in it for 3 days.
You had to do it because it was a lot of work, I'm sure.
It was a lot of work. So anyway, we're not perfect.
Yeah. We're just really good.
You're just... you know.
I'm trying to lift you up.
Thank you. We're just consistent.
Isn't that what everyone wants, is a little consistency, no matter the quality?
I would love a little consistency.
I had a miss, too. Something we... I don't remember it.
No?
It was from, like...
Was it from Bibleman?
No. Although, yes, maybe. Fuck.
You didn't write it down,
No, I did not write it down.
Of course.
I thought I would remember it. It was from I think it was from the Samson episode.
Okay.
We were talking... Oh! I remember it.
What?
I just hit you because I remembered.
I know, it's okay. I'm with you.
In the Samson episode, I said I was going to talk about what made the Delilah-Samson betrayal particularly egregious in the Bible, not the movie.
Yeah.
And we didn't get there. We did talk about, like, Nazarene vows and all that stuff.
Yes, I remember that.
But the thing I wanted to mention from the Bible story that they took out of the movie because it would make Samson look like an absolute fucking idiot.
That he is.
Yes, that he actually is.
They didn't do a good job of not making him look like that, for the record.
Imagine this scene, though.
Okay.
So when she asks him, like, what is your secret? And I have the 3 Nazarite vows. And if I cut my hair, I think my strength will leave me.
Yeah.
Right? Spoilers for that movie if you're just hearing this and not that. The first time in the Bible she asks, he lies to her.
Okay.
In a somewhat clever way. He's just like, here's the thing. If you tie me up, I'll, lose my power. She ties him up the next day.
So she tests, or he tests her, basically.
Yeah. And
okay, that is a smart thing to do.
Right, but she ties him up, and she's like, why'd you lie to me? And he's like, okay, fine, here's the truth. And then he lies again.
Okay.
And she does the thing again. And again, he wakes up.
The bitch is trifling.
And so again, he wakes up and she's clearly tried to take his strength from him.
Right.
And she's like, come on, we're supposed to be together. You can't lie to me.
Oh my God.
And then he actually tells her the truth.
That is all it takes for him to tell all of his secrets, is a woman to say, I thought we were in a relationship together and we don't lie.
Yeah, but I remember earlier in the episode, I had mentioned that we were going to talk about the context that makes it even worse.
Oh my gosh.
But I forgot to do it, and now I remember.
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that makes it even dumber. I hated that fucking movie, Josh. That actually is the one and only episode that we've ever done that I have not downloaded and listened to, because I was so fed up with it. I was so sick.
That's fair.
Of it. So I actually don't even really know how it came out, because I don't remember what I did and did not cut out.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think your disdain for it is mostly on the production side. It came out fine, I think.
Okay, good. Well, that makes me feel better.
Multiple times.
Oh, okay.
And I've been there and heard it before, because I was there the first time.
You lived through it.
Yes.
We survived.
That's my favorite part, is when we make ourselves laugh.
That is my favorite
Considering
part,
that we lived it the first time and usually have edited it a second time.
Yeah.
And then I hear it again, I'm still laughing.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That wasn't terrible at all.
All right, we just spent a lot of time on Samson, and that's because we don't want to talk about what we are doing today.
I don't want to.
But you have to tell me what it is.
Well, Josh, we are doing a thing called the Unmiracle. It's the dumbest name.
It's the worst name.
It's the dumbest name.
Yeah.
But, that aside, you can watch it yourselves, audience, on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix is a growing collection of Christian movies.
It's been convenient for us.
Yeah. They just added one that we're gonna do. You'll see at the end of the show.
Oh, is it the next thing we're doing?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you'll see.
Okay.
Spoilers, we're recording 2 next week.
Oh, right. Okay, we need to do that.
Little inside baseball.
Sweet. Okay, well, I'll prepare myself. I may be dog sitting, but either way, I'm getting over here. So.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, describe this movie in 1 sentence for me, please.
Okay, I really struggled with this because it's so boring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say high school kids get scared straight by one overdose.
Okay, that's fair.
And somehow it ripples through an entire community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a good 1 sentence, but it's accurate.
Yeah, it's the movie in a type 5.
Type 5.
You work on your type 5.
Type 5 seconds.
Yeah. Mine is, did you know that you don't have to have ever seen a movie to make a movie?
Yes. Yes. The first thing I wrote down in my notes was, is this a student film? Is this someone's first attempt?
That would be understandable.
Yeah.
I am convinced that no one has seen a movie that had made this movie.
Well, it was done with, those teens working for, teen models and actors working for Christ, like that agency or whatever it is. Yeah.
And I want to go ahead and precede before we start the breakdown part of this of the show. There are a lot of characters in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you their names because their names are stupid. I'm going to give most of them nicknames.
Great. I have some nicknames too.
Good. So that's at least easier to remember. I think I used one person's name. Yes,
Kevin
Danny.
Sorbo? Oh,
and Kevin Sorbo. That's his real name.
Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, that's his nickname too for this episode.
But before we begin proper, let me tell you a fun story from my personal life. And my personal/professional this podcast life.
You don't get that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was sort of going to go to sleep, and I was in bed, and I wasn't really doing much. So I was like, I'll turn on something to watch. But I didn't want to see something that I might want to watch.
Was this recently?
Yeah, this was last week, a few days ago.
Okay.
So I turned on the Unmiracle. Because I was like, I'll get an idea for it, and then take notes on it later. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I don't ever do that, but...
You felt moved to.
This time I did, yeah.
Molly is desperate for my attention.
Yes, she is. Yeah, you can leave her forever.
I don't care. She'll figure it out. Go ahead.
And so I watched about 20 minutes of this, and I wasn't taking notes or anything, and then I just sort of offhandedly mentioned, like, oh god, I'm gonna have to actually watch this again to take the notes with it.
Yeah.
And Mary was in bed with me.
Yeah.
And she goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because she's watching it too. She's like, turn it off unless you're gonna take notes. And she was right. She was 100% right.
Yeah.
She nailed it. So here's my real notes.
So you made a small error in judgment, and you learned from it.
She taught me something. But let's talk about what really happened, and I took notes for it. We start with Kevin Sorbo, and he tells us his voice is sort of going, and we learn that this is based on true events, which is almost certainly a girl overdosed once, and...
Yeah, and now she loves Jesus.
Yeah. But he's like in NA or AA or something like that, a 12-step program.
Right.
And he talks to the group that he's in about how he was quite the rebel when he was the younger man. But, you know, how does one even get any younger than Kevin Sorbo? He's eternally youthful. He doesn't look old at all.
It's bizarro, actually.
It's kind of a joke, but also he does look much younger than he is.
He looks younger than he is.
Yeah.
But also, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, which is automatically aging.
Yeah.
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 But he's talking about how he found God in 1987, and then he entered a 12-step program because he was arrested after, I think, drunk driving into a tree or something. It doesn't.
He had been partying and doing cocaine and drinking, and he ran into a car, and nobody died. But it made him love God.
Perfect. And he entered the 12-step, and he just completely surrendered to it. He says, do you know how great it feels to surrender to something so completely? Something so much more powerful than yourself and your frail little ego?
No, I don't.
Yeah. But he says it was only because of him, capital H, God. You see, because for most people, God is a way to get to heaven. But for people like them, like him, users and addicts, God is just the way to get through another day without using. And on that day in 1987, he thought that his life was over, but it turned out to be the greatest thing that ever happened to him.
Would you call it, Josh, an unmiracle?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
So, some corny guitar music follows.
Corny guitar music follows and never ceases.
That's true. And we hear Stephen Baldwin sort of whispering, which is all he does through this whole movie.
Jesus Christ. Alec got all of the good genes of the Baldwin clan. All of them. But Stephen has always looked rough, but he is not doing well. Someone should check on him.
He's a method actor, okay? Because he plays
He's a meth actor.
Because he's playing a person who's high and drinking and partying all day.
Yeah, he goes to lame-ass parties, too. I don't know what that club scene was, but it did not look fun.
There's 3 people in the building.
The 3 people, yeah. Two not very expensive escorts.
Yeah, probably.
And him mugging for the camera.
But he's giving us a monologue over all of this about how dark and scary things get. What does he say? No matter how dark and scary things get, there is always a light, because Jesus is everywhere.
Yeah, every time it cuts to him whispering over his silhouette, it's a Bible quote, right? Are all of them?
Not all of them, but a lot of them are, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
He was making Jesus seem real ominous.
Oh yeah, it's super scary. But basically, Stephen Baldwin is talking about some bullshit, and he's the first one to name drop the Unmiracle, and that is, you have to be lost before you're found. And like Hillary was talking about, good old Stevie Baldy is partying and doing chicks, but he's not really happy about it.
No.
And so we get a new character, because this is classic whirlwind Christian movie style.
Yes, quick, cut.
And this is PTSD guy. And he hears a plane pass overhead as he sleeps on his couch, and he wakes up with quite the start as he flashes back to wartime and he calls for a medic. He literally curls up on his...
Yeah, full PTSD.
Oh,
all of it.
It's fair, but it's just...
Well, it'd be fairer if they got a good actor to do it. This is painful.
Right. And it turns out his brother is at the door, which also might have woken him up because he knocked.
Yeah.
And so PTSD guy starts drinking first thing in the morning so he can cope. But little brother Danny is inviting him to family dinner, and he asks him if he's okay. But PTSD guy is going to talk about it today.
No.
We need a shorter name for him. The Marine.
Shell Shock.
Shell Shock. That's good.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going with Shell Shock. So when Shell Shock leaves the room for a second, little brother Danny, who appears clean-cut and very concerned about him, takes the opportunity to swipe some of his drugs.
Yeah.
I think it's like Adderall or...
It was a Ritalin and a Vicodin.
Okay. So he steals some of those drugs and
never combine those two, by the way, kids.
Oh, we learned that in the movie, but also don't combine this.
That wasn't what caused her main problems. But still, those are the opposite drugs. That is an upper and a downer, and that will kill you.
Yeah. But he, while Shell Shock is outside the room, he also lectures him for just a second. You never come to church or dinner or whatever. And so Shell Shock obviously freaks the fuck out and just leave me the fuck alone, I'll kill you.
Which I would do too if my brother was pestering me like this.
Right. So little Danny leaves dejected. And so now we catch up with him.
With a pocket full of pills.
With a pocket full of pills and a hot date to get to. Because he's going to a party with Party Girl. And that is her name.
Kayla, the party girl.
Kayla, the party girl. And she is the person for whom he was retrieving the drugs. Mm-hmm. And the party gets out of control pretty quickly. And Danny's friend, who we're going to call Snark,
He's not a narc. He's the good one. I call him Nerd Boy.
Nerd Boy. I called him Dweeb for a while.
Dweeb works.
Dweeb works.
Yeah, I like Dweeb best.
Okay, so his friend Dweeb leaves the party to take some people home. And then Party Girl ODs on this combination of drugs.
It was the heroin.
It was the heroin specifically.
There's actual heroin in it. Yeah, it's like, I really thought this was going to be another one of those ones where it's like these bad party kids and they're literally just like taking extra aspirin. Yeah, they're just like, I ate a whole bottle of ibuprofen. Like, whoa!
You're crazy.
Wild.
I mean, that's also not safe, but for very different reasons.
Right, but yeah, no, the pills the few pills that he brought her, it was not enough for her to actually have a reaction to, but they brought heroin into the mix, and that is a leap.
And I think she had some coke. Like, she was on a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're gonna...
How did these... where are they supposed to be? Because heroin's not an easy get. That's something you graduate to.
Yeah, that's true.
After years of doing the small drugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny.
But she ODs, and then a dramatic scene plays where she collapses onto the kitchen floor, and no one calls the police because the old guy at the party, he's a 25-year-old man who hangs out with high school students. This will come back.
Problematic. Also, the only real actor in this entire thing.
But he tells them, if you call the police, everyone in this house is going to get arrested, and that's going to ruin your chance to get into college or even get financial aid.
Right.
And like,
who brings up financial aid at a party? Yeah, but also he was talking about it for her too. You know, like she just needs to sleep it off. Like if you call the cops, she's going to get arrested and she's going to blah blah blah. Yeah, all this legal mumbo jumbo.
So everyone from the party except for Danny basically leaves, and his friend Dean.
Oh yeah, Dino. Fluff hair.
That's his nickname.
Dino Fluff hair.
Yeah, fluff hair. Fluffy boy.
Yeah.
He, like, I guess just goes to sleep on the couch because he's like, oh, she's just dying. I'll go to sleep.
Yeah, or he's just going to sleep it off anyway. He's passing out from his own drugs.
Yeah. But eventually, Dweeb comes back. And while Party Girl is ODing, we find out that old Danny is basically as clean cut as he looks. He just wanted to, you know, get a little attention from a pretty girl.
Yeah.
Maybe get his little...
Well, she, like, asked him out, and he was very surprised by any attention that she gave him. So
she might S on
all
my
of this
D.
was... Yeah. Ugh. Teenagers. Yeah, no, but he got the drugs just to try to make her like him, so...
Yeah. So he doesn't know what to do.
No. And now he's scared that the cops are going to arrest everybody.
Actually, you know what's funny? A lot of plot points like this often get criticized, but as a former teenage boy, I can tell you, it is the most accurate.
Yeah.
Do you know what Death Note is?
I'm very aware of Death Note,
Okay.
but I've never seen it.
Well, they made a movie, a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I remember when
And
that came out.
In the Netflix movie, a lot of people were complaining because the main character, who's in the original series very conniving and careful, he doesn't tell anybody it even exists until he, like, knows he can trust them for absolutely certain.
Right.
And the American version, there's a pretty girl that he likes, and she's like, you have any cool news? And he's like, yeah, check this out, I can kill people with this notebook. And she immediately like, oh, that's amazing, and they fuck, like, in the bathroom or something.
Right.
And everyone's like, that's so stupid. I was like, yes, it's stupid. He's a teenage boy.
Yes, this is not a plot hole.
Right.
Yeah.
But
This is believable.
I don't have a ton of defense for that movie.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely accurate. If you thought that a girl would touch your penis, if you showed her that you could murder people with a notebook, you're absolutely going to do it.
Yes.
If you're a normal teenage boy.
Integrity is not important.
They're not huge on it.
No.
Okay. Sorry, where was I? Dweeb comes back, and he sees Party Girl ODing, so he finally decides to call the police, because obviously she needs help.
She has purple mouth.
She's turning blue.
Purple mouth equals dead.
Yeah, her heart is barely beating, like she's fucked up.
Right, her pupils don't dilate.
And so the acting here is really bad.
Really bad. Oh my god.
But we finally, sort of feel some raw intensity, I guess, if you're the target audience, which is people who've never seen a movie either.
Or seen drugs.
Or ever seen drugs. But police sirens guide us into the hospital, where we learn that Party Girl may never wake up because she's having a very bad drug reaction.
Yeah.
With the combination of things in her system.
Everything.
The heroin, particularly.
Literally all of it, but the heroin's major.
And she may never wake up, and we learn that alongside Danny and Party Girl's mom, who we're going to call Mom.
Yeah, that's good.
And so a cop comes in.
God, speaking of bad acting, that mom. Oh, God. She's been in one episode of, like, every TV show ever made, too.
Funny. So a cop comes in to the hospital room to talk to Mom, and Mom immediately freaks the fuck out. Mm-hmm. How dare he come here to put her baby in jail?
Except he literally just said he wasn't there to do that.
She's like, well, are you here to put her in jail? He's like, no, that's not what I'm...
Well, how dare you come here to put her in jail?
They were too afraid to call an ambulance because of people like you. And this son of a bitch wants to walk in here and ask questions even though he already said he doesn't want to put her in jail? What am I mad about?
Exactly. It's so uncomfortable. Like, how long is this gonna...
She yells at him for like 3 straight minutes in the movie.
Oh my gosh, it's too long. And also, she's so bad.
Oh, and she's not good at it.
It's so bad.
This is where Mary looked up and was like, what are you watching? Or like, what are you doing? You're not taking notes? What the fuck?
Yeah. Also, he can arrest her. She's unconscious and probably gonna die.
Yeah, like, what is she? We gotta take you to prison.
Yeah. He just wanted to talk to you, Mom.
Yeah. But this strong reaction from Mom shakes Cop to his very core. And so he goes...
Cop looks like he is 16 years old. Like, just a worn, he's like...
He's a very tired 16-year-old.
This is what made... Yeah, no, this is very tired. And the obesity plays into it. But also, this is where I started thinking, okay, maybe this is a student film, because most of the adults, with the exception of, like, Mom, and that might be it, the adults look like they're still in college.
Yeah, and Kevin Sorbo and Stephen Baldwin, who are the...
Right, yeah. the name getter. Yeah, they're the big names they got to play, which, by the way, they have very, very small parts. I'm sure they filmed all of their stuff in, like, a couple hours in one day.
There's no way.
So, yeah, they had a tiny budget that they threw at Kevin Sorbo and Stephen Baldwin, essentially.
Do you want $2,000?
And everybody else is played by teenagers and college students.
But the cop goes into the bathroom because he's trying to shake off this just tongue lashing he's received.
Oh, my God.
And he's sort of sitting in the mirror and he's washing his face and he's reminding himself, protect and serve, protect and serve.
I don't know what this is supposed to make me feel.
I had an amusing side note.
Okay.
Because for just a second, I considered to myself and maybe hoped that this was really a movie about this cop being a sociopath or a serial killer who works as a cop to try to get on the straight and narrow and sort of put to sleep his ultra-violent streak, but he's just always a step away from it. So this woman yells at him, and he's in the thing, he's like, protect and serve, and then he punches the mirror, and it shatters, and he just goes on a murder spree the rest of the movie.
And it turns out he's Dexter.
Yeah, he's like Dexter or some...
You need to channel this creativity into something more.
Yeah, and then that's when I really realized...
What a waste of your brain power.
This is when I realized that I just watched too many cartoons. Is the answer.
You were hopeful.
Yeah. But I was like, that would have been so fucking great. He's just like, no, protect and serve. We're protecting and serving. We're good. We're not going to murder everyone today. Not today.
Yeah, and little dwee boy comes in the bathroom and he gets murdered.
But, like she said, the dwee boy comes in, and so him and the cop are going to bond because he sees the cop being so shook.
Yeah. And I would be so annoyed at this kid. He's so smug.
Oh, he is. Every time. Every line he says.
Everything. Yeah. Everything.
Everything he says. But he apologizes about Mom flipping her lid because he says, she's normally pretty nice. And cool. He says to the cop, you seem pretty decent for a cop. And again, he can't help being smug.
He's so smug.
I guess he's self-assured.
You know nothing, child.
Oh, he knows everything.
I know
he wears a WWG Day bracelet.
G-Day?
G-Day.
WWG Day.
What would God do? Duh.
What would God do?
That was totally on purpose. But, cop sort of halfway apologizes that he also shouldn't have come into the room because it wasn't the time for asking questions.
Nah, he's right.
So him and Dweeb make some peace, and cop calls him a hero for actually calling somebody. He actually saved a life today.
That's true.
Which is fair.
That's true. Very fair. As smug as this kid is, he is the only one who did the smart, right thing.
So he gives the kid a ride home, where he actually does take the opportunity to interrogate Dweeb.
Which doesn't seem like it should be legal.
No, not at all. It's not remotely legal.
Yeah, especially since he's underage. He has to have a parent present, right?
Yeah, or so I guess technically you can talk to them. He's not technically being detained. He's not in interrogation.
True.
So I guess there is some gray area. I know relatively
I know little.
But
I need to know my rights more. I took a couple
constitutional justice classes in college, so I know a little bit.
Gotcha.
I think this would be allowed, but it's definitely ethically not cool.
Agreed.
But cops aren't ethical in the first place. Anyway, let's move on.
Hashtag not all cops.
And Dweeb is not answering any questions today because he's not a rat. And at this point, cop tries to threaten him.
I do like this about Dweeb.
Oh, yeah. But he points out that he's not afraid of anything or anyone except for God. That's smug, but it's also like, I ain't fucking scared of you.
No, I liked that. I was like, okay, maybe I can get behind this kid.
You can talk all the shit you want. You can't threaten me with anything that...
I'm not scared of you and your badge.
Yeah.
Also, you're fluffy.
And they talk about how his sort of straight-edge Bible-thumping personality doesn't make him particularly popular. But just like Jesus, it's going to take more than a man in a rent-a-cop costume to get the info out of him.
Yes.
And they talk about...
Tell him, dweeb.
Every conversation in this movie somehow wheels back to God, but in ways that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, this conversation, like, I'm not scared of anything but God. Okay, like, maybe acceptable. Mm-hmm. Then they go into details about the crucifixion. It's like, where's that coming from?
It's coming from Dweeb Kid, and the only thing he knows how to talk about, I don't think he has any pastimes or hobbies. He only knows, he can only talk about God.
I would wager.
Yeah.
Chronic masturbation.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right there, but
He's
I mean,
deeply
that doesn't
ashamed of it.
set him apart from any other teenage boy.
Well, he feels particular shame about it.
I don't know.
Because he's so religious. Like, he's like, I can't touch myself, but I can't stop.
Well, he doesn't seem like the guilty type. He's like his smug, like...
Oh, that's true. He's so smug. He feels no guilt.
He's so smug.
He's the sociopath that the cop should have been.
Yeah.
Oh. He's only religious
murderer.
so that he doesn't kill everyone. We figured it out. Sequel to Unmiracle. It's coming soon to a theater near you. We're going to do it.
The Masked Unmiracle.
So, we watch Cop do some cop stuff, and he gets around to Shellshock's house. Shellshock had a episode, and he thought that a child was trying to set off an IED, and so he accidentally grabbed a child and, like, tried to protect him.
Right. The child's parents' point of view.
Yes. This man
just grabbed our child and started running away with him.
And, like, shook him and stuff.
Yeah. And, of course, as an audience member, you have a pretty good idea of what had happened. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, this guy just grabbed our kid. And, like, it's not funny kids being stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But it is funny when you think about...
their perspective, his perspective.
Right.
And what we know, yeah, it's irony.
Irony.
Isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
Anyway, Cop is somehow, and very clearly, I think, the worst actor in this movie.
Worst.
Okay.
100%. Except for maybe, hear me out, Cop's boss.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
It's a real close call. It's going to be
his boss or his partner? Whatever.
It's his boss, because the way he yells at him.
But they're also working at...
They're also the same age. They're both 22.
Yeah, okay. But he reassures Shellshock that anyone who puts on a uniform for the country is a hero. And it's a very scattershot conversation, but it's all meant to be expository. They know each other. He tells them that, I had this freak out, it wasn't a real thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're a hero. And he's like, I'm not a hero, I'm just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's like, no, anyone who puts on it's a fucking...
No, it's one of those jerk-off, like, military fucking
I killed a bunch of people for no reason in another country. Whoa.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Okay, sorry. And who cares how it really ends? The conversation does end, and Shellshock falls asleep in his chair before he's woken up by Danny in the morning. And he's here to
intelligently using a hockey stick.
He was told to do so.
He was told to use a hockey stick or find a stick or something.
Yeah.
Don't touch him because his natural reaction to waking up with a human is to punch or to start swinging.
Yeah, and he did
which is real. That's a real legit thing.
Yeah, and he did grab the hockey stick and almost swing it, but he didn't because he had a stick instead.
Right.
Had he been a man, he would have definitely harmed him.
Yes.
And Danny's here to invite Shellshock to church, but that's not happening today. And they sort of have some more dialogue about how Danny knows, a friend of his who did something really stupid and wrong, and it wound up hurting somebody. And what does Shellshock think he could do about it? Mm-hmm. So Shellshock says, he's a former Marine, and he tells Danny to do the right thing, even if that person's not going to be caught otherwise. Because, it's an honor thing, an integrity, and you have to do the right thing even if it's hard. And of course he doesn't know that he's talking about Danny, but we do, so why bother with the pretense?
Right.
And we get a speech about...
Also, if anybody starts a sentence with, I got this friend, just assume it's them. It's always them.
And Shellshock gives us a speech about courage and what it means.
Simplify.
And some of it's fair, some of it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like the whole, you can't actually be courageous unless you're scared in the first place.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Yes, it is.
Achilles is a coward, by the way. He never did anything to be worthy of the praise he received. Hector is the real hero of that story.
I don't even remember that being mentioned.
They didn't mention Achilles. It's just my go-to for courageous.
Oh,
'Cause
gotcha.
Achilles is like, he's so courageous. He goes in battle and he kills all those people. He can't be harmed. He's invulnerable from harm. He's not courageous. He's an asshole.
Right.
Hector is a hero.
Yeah.
And of course he dies. But
Yeah, as some heroes do.
so, but yeah, the courage conversation happens and he just says, you have to follow a higher path that normal people are too weak or too afraid to follow. But we go back to Stevie B, and he's having visions, and this one is his same whisper voice quoting scripture at him. And we still don't know why this is happening, but we will get to it, of course.
His face makes me so uncomfortable.
It looks like it's uncomfortable on his face.
Yeah, like his face doesn't fit his head.
Yeah. But Danny goes to the police station to physically turn himself in. And I know what you're thinking. We just skipped right over Stephen Baldwin's part. Yeah, that's what it's like. He's doing weird scripture things, and then it just moves.
Right.
Like, what happened? He's having weird dreams.
Why is
That's
he
what we know.
here, you ask yourself throughout this film?
Yeah, but Danny's in the police station, and he's going to turn himself in. But we cut to Cop being yelled at by his boss/partner for being too soft. Professionally, emotionally.
He needed to knock it down a couple notches.
But, you're too soft. And he means that professionally, emotionally, and physically.
Yeah.
Because he is quite
Pillowy.
large. He leaves the room. Cop does, just as Danny is waiting for him, who overhears that if Party Girl dies, this is a homicide, so figure out where those drugs came from. And of course, this predictably motivates Danny to run away.
Yeah.
And so he's reporting back to Dean, whose house the party was at.
Dean seems like, the kid playing Dean seems like the most realistic teenager to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I've met this kid. This kid exists to this day. He is on a skateboard somewhere. And
Dean gives us some history on Party Girl. They used to go out, and he really cares about her. But she's been going through some things lately, and she doesn't take things very seriously, and she's dated a string of losers up until Danny. Mm-hmm. And they don't see why yet. But of course we know that, she was just looking for a good guy after all the... It's a whole thing.
That's what we're supposed to think.
That's what we're supposed to think.
Right.
And so Dino and the old guy from the party, the 25-year-old, are arguing about the chain of events. Who gave her the drugs? Whose drugs was it? You gave her the heroin. You gave her all the other shit. Mm-hmm. And old guy does the only good line in the movie. Only one. Okay. And it's not that good. It's just like, it makes some sense.
Well, tell me.
He says, I'm not the party nanny. I'm not supposed to keep track of everyone.
Yeah.
And Dino says, yes, you are. You're 25 and you hang out with high school parties. You are the party nanny.
Yes. I loved that interaction. That was real.
It's like, ooh, got him.
I'm not the party nanny. You're a 25-year-old hanging out with high schoolers. Yes, you are. You have volunteered. You supply the drugs. Yeah. Then you make sure people take the drugs in the correct way.
Yeah, like
if there is a correct way.
That is fair. These are high school. These are 16, 17, 18 year old
I'm
kids.
just so glad he got called out on it in a smart way.
Yeah. So Danny tells the group that he's going to come clean, but he's once again convinced not to do that, and they form a blood oath not to say anything. They don't actually cut themselves, but
they don't. Do they not?
I don't think so.
He gets the knife out, and they're going to do a blood oath.
Yeah.
That is something that stopped in the 90s. It stopped in the 80s when AIDS started happening.
Yeah, we know you're not supposed to do that anymore.
Nobody does that anymore. I don't care how dumb a teenager you are.
Yeah. And it must be said at this point that Danny is easily persuaded.
Yeah.
He has been persuaded 3 different directions through this movie so far.
He is human Play-Doh. He is easily molded.
But Danny tells them about Dweeb, who called the ambulance and actually, did the work to save her life. And this motivates old guy to track down Dweeb and threaten him not to talk to the popo. And nothing bad really happens, even though they do all gather up and threaten him with a knife.
Yeah.
Because a cop is driving by. And so he takes this chance after they disperse to talk to Dweeb again and apologize for his very ineffective interrogation the other night.
Right.
And inspired by Dweeb's religious convictions from that night, Cop has taken to wearing his own WWJD bracelet again.
He found it in his drawer.
So now these two share a bond that cannot be broken.
Friendship bracelets.
Yes. And just in case anyone's not aware, because you're not American or in this culture or whatever, WWJD bracelet is a bracelet that was pretty popular in the 90s, I think.
Very popular in the 90s.
It means, what would Jesus do?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
I had one during my phase.
Yeah, I never did.
Interestingly enough, I had a rainbow one. Yeah.
Well, the rainbow is a sign of God for not flooding the world again.
I know, but it did look like a gay flag plus Jesus.
You could still wear it.
Yeah.
Except for the Jesus part, just mark it out.
I wonder where that is. I'm sure I threw it away.
Yeah. And I'm skipping a few scenes here because honestly they suck. So I'm going to take the opportunity to note just how absolutely embarrassing the sound editing is. Because when someone isn't talking, the audio for dialogue goes completely silent, but it's in a way that you can tell.
Yes.
It's like it got cut.
Yes.
And there's nothing happening.
It is stuff we've experienced while doing this podcast, because we're learning about sound. This is a full-length movie done with people as skilled at sound as we are.
Yeah, but like, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
In fact,
what I'm saying.
I would argue less skilled than we are.
At this point, yeah.
Because it would be different if it happened once or twice, but there's a back and forth dialogue this whole time.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's done.
There's a lot of ADR.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in the woods. Clearly, they didn't have the equipment to record sound in an open space like that. So it's so clearly done in a studio.
And that's fair, but the thing you do is you don't just cut the sound entirely, where the audience hears blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that little sound, that's because it's just nothing.
And we get to a point,
it's a vacuum
a little bit
of
later,
sound.
this is not a spoiler or anything, that was particularly egregious when it cut to one of Stephen Baldwin's scenes, where it was like, it goes from a scene where it's that silence to, because I guess they didn't turn the air off in the hotel room where they were filming, because it's so loud and terrible.
It's hard to describe exactly, but it is just...
It's notable. You notice
notable.
it. Yeah, anyway.
And this is... The only scene that's really happening here is the cop and Shellshock are reconnecting, and they're trying to be friends again.
I like this scene.
Yeah, it was fine.
I thought that this was the one time the cop wasn't annoying me with his bad acting.
And it was basically like, you're the reason I became a cop, because he helped him once. And it's like, who gives a shit why you became a cop? I didn't care.
Well, I like the idea that he wanted to do good things for people because somebody was nice to him in high school.
Yeah, this is why he's a washout cop, you see.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation we had a long time ago?
No, tell me about it.
Who are the types of people that become cops, and do you want any of them to have that power?
Right.
This is the type of person you want to be a cop. And ironically, he spends the whole movie being told how shitty a cop he is.
True.
You know why? Because he's decent.
Yes, because all the other cops are the bad kind.
Right.
Right.
He's like, you better go beat
His
up those
boss,
kids.
who starts at level 10 and stays there throughout the whole movie.
It's trash person.
Yeah, garbage human.
But he's in charge.
Yes, he is.
Oh, you think it's a coincidence?
The world's fucked.
And these people who made this movie had no idea the message they were sending with the cops, but it's what they were doing.
Yeah. Well, they hadn't listened to our podcast, clearly.
That's, they could learn something. You have any idea how many filmmakers we could help if they just listened?
Speaking of smugness.
But am I wrong?
We're both dweebs.
Okay, so eventually this conversation ends with another person who knows Shellshock coming by and asking him about the war. Like, did you kill anybody? Did you see anybody get killed?
That guy deserves everything coming to him.
That's right, and what comes to him is Shellshock freaks out and breaks his face.
Thank you for saying breaks his face, because I watched that twice. Shellshock freaks out. Uh-huh. Screams at dude. Mm-hmm. By the way, this dude does deserve it. We are watching 100%. Him. I've actually seen this in real life. I've seen guys who cannot. It's not even taking a hint. They're being told, seriously, I don't want to talk about what happened in the war. You don't know what you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. Doesn't listen. Keeps pestering. Eventually, Shellshock has some weird flashback and goes nutso and punches this guy straight in the face. And then you hear this guy in the background go, "You broke his face!"
Yep.
Not his nose. That's a normal thing to say. You broke his nose. You broke his face.
But
I don't know why I love that so much.
But Shellshock and Cop flee until eventually they stop to sort of argue about what Shellshock has done and seen, and somehow God gets brought up into this conversation again.
How does it even... No. And
someone just, literally, it's like someone lassoed God and just pulled him in.
I thought...
God was trying to leave, and he's like, nah.
No, I thought that Shellshock was going to punch Cop in the face, because I'm like, what's more annoying than a guy pestering you about talking about the war than somebody who, throwing God in your face right after the fact? You're like,
hey, you're just... having a bad time, and you need to not be so angry. I'm like, I know, I have medication.
I'm trying. Nobody in this vicinity knows anything that I've been through. Nobody can relate to the shit that poor Shellshock had endured.
And this is the first time I start taking note of how long it's been and how long is to go. This movie is bizarre, confusing, awful, and there's still 45 minutes left of it.
We're halfway there. It is a 90-minute movie,
It did not feel like halfway.
It was 90-ish.
It's 90-ish.
Yeah.
It did not feel like halfway. It felt like forever.
It felt like, yeah.
Okay, so Shell Shock guy shoos cop away, basically insisting he leaves him alone.
Yeah.
And cop, leaves disappointed because he wanted to help, but he can't yet. So now we're back
And
to...
he thought he was going to get to be friends with high school cool guy.
Yeah. And so now we're back to Stephen Baldy guy, who keeps having these bizarre interludes where he shows us what the characters are up to while whispering seemingly profound things about God.
Yeah.
This one I don't think was scripture, but it was sort of sounded like it.
This is where he was like, they shot him like walking in an alley.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, he's like backlit.
Yeah, it's impossible for me to pay attention to what he's saying, which is a literal note I wrote.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I'm with you.
Like I was saying it to you, but also I wrote that down.
Yeah, his voice is so similar to Alex.
Oh.
Yeah, it's similar, but like if Alec Baldwin was on drugs,
Yeah.
then this is what his voice would sound like.
But we're going to the next day, and Dweeb goes to see Dino, who is hiding from the police, but is also very clearly drunk or high or both. Mm-hmm. And his house is a complete mess. And at least the movie does us the service of asking where his parents are.
Yes.
His dad's in Germany, his mom's in Cancun.
Yeah.
So he's basically left on his own a lot.
Well, his dad, he hasn't seen his dad since he was a kid. Like his
that's
dad's gone.
That's right.
He has no dad, and he can't really his mom. If she, what does he say? Like,
if she has to cut her vacation short, she will be mad for a year.
Right. So he doesn't have parents essentially.
Yeah. And so Dweeb offers his place to crash, and even offers to go get him some food, because all Dino really needs is a friend in Christ.
Yeah.
And this, of course, motivates Dino to apologize for threatening Dweeb earlier with old guy. And they bond over a walk in the forest where they talk about how Dweeb manages to be so cool and just forgive everyone for everything. And he talks about how it's all God. Logic is overrated. If you start to look at the world as though it makes no sense, it begins to make sense.
Sure.
He doesn't say that. He's like, if you look at it from God's perspective in a way that makes absolutely no sense at all, you're like, oh, yeah, totally.
This is where he explains what the Unmiracle is, finally.
Yes.
At this point.
He says he doesn't believe in miracles, but he does believe in unmiracles, which is when things don't seem like something God would allow to happen. But once you see it from God's perspective, it starts to make sense, and everyone ends up great at the end. Mm-hmm. And Dino, rightfully, asks Dweeb if he is high. But he's not high. He's just a fucking weirdo.
He's a Jesus freak. He's high on God. Freak.
So we're back to Mom. She's the mom of Party Girl, remember?
Yes.
And she's got cancer again. We know this now. Mm-hmm. Alongside that, she's talking to a friend of hers, and she's like, my cancer's come back, so that sucks. Also, I'm divorced, even though I try to keep my marriage together.
Are you talking about the mystical black lady friend?
She's a little mystical black lady, yeah.
Yep. There's got to be one in every movie, right?
Yeah, and she's like, I got cancer, I'm divorced, my kid's in the hospital, I just feel abandoned by God. And I tried to trust him, but I can't. Mm-hmm. And good for her. Mystical black friend that she's talking to clarifies that, this is just a test. A terrible test, clearly administered by a big old dink. But Mom's magical black friend is just like, if you get your spiritual life in order, then what happens to your physical body won't matter so much. Tired platitudes follow, and I took a little micro nap.
Yeah, I drifted. I was mad that they pulled another black lady into one of these. The tropes that we deal with are really wearing on me, Josh.
And there's still 35 minutes of this movie, and I am exhausted by
Yes. No good.
And so old guy is now being questioned by the police, but they get nothing from him because he's got a lawyer, and he's not going to talk to the cops.
Old guy. I'm sorry, the 25-year-old.
The 25-year-old.
Okay,
he's
gotcha.
The old guy.
Old guy.
Because he is the one who stands out for being old the most.
Did you ever see the movie? Right.
He's hanging out with high school students.
I love that. Thank God they actually mentioned that. But do you remember the movie Can't Hardly Wait?
I never saw it.
Oh, God, I love that movie. That might be too old for you.
Is that the Drew Barrymore movie?
No, Seth Green, Ethan Embry. It's a high school party movie.
Never seen it.
But there is the 20-something-year-old that comes back to party with the high schoolers. Jerry O'Connell plays him. Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's too old for me, but it wasn't my scene at the time.
I think it was like 1998.
Yeah, so it's still slightly old for me.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my type of movie. Like, I've seen very few of those sort of...
I was obsessed with Seth Green. I'd watch anything Seth Green did.
Yeah, I've seen pretty few of those, like, high school movies in that era, because it's never really been my thing.
Yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt plays the romantic
Yeah.
person.
Like,
It's not a romantic comedy, but it's like Ethan Embry plays a character who's like obsessed with Jennifer Love Hewitt and believes in signs. And I mean, yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Did you have more?
No. Okay. I'm just saying that this guy is the Jerry O'Connell in this situation.
Oh, yes. Let's see. And we go to Dweeb and Dino, who are in Dweeb's home, where he has lit so many candles in his bedroom that I have to assume he's trying to seduce Dino.
The exact same reaction from me. I'm like, why? Why the mood lighting?
There's
like
candles.
12 candles.
There's more than that. He's got like
12 visible candles. Yes.
And
they're just sitting, like, just sitting on his bed, and they're just talking with all these candles. And I was like, maybe there was a storm? But no, there is an actual light on elsewhere in the room. And I'm like, no, this is just a choice. They went for romance.
Yeah, but he's talking to Dino slowly and sensually, and he's asking Dean to just do it.
Yeah.
Except
say
the
it. Say it.
Say it.
Say
do
it, Dino.
Say it. Except the it is Jesus. You know?
Yeah.
Say Jesus. I think he literally does say do it. That's why I wrote it down.
No, he does. He says do it. He's like, you can do it. He's like, I can't.
You can do it.
Yes, you can.
And all he wants to do is say Jesus.
Yeah, because he's like, what? I don't know. They were talking about something, and he's like, well, you know why, though, don't you?
Yeah,
you know
like,
why this is happening. Say it.
In this candlelit room, I can't.
God, fucking just kiss him.
Right?
So just kiss him and stop talking.
Why can everyone in this movie just be honest that they want to make out with each other?
Obviously, they're teenagers. Everyone's fair game.
But eventually, Dino caves, and he has an existential moment in the bathroom where he shaves all of his hair off.
By existential moment, you mean his own mild drug overdose.
Yeah, how did he get drugs?
He searched through the cabinets, stole whatever drugs he could find.
I saw that.
And again, it probably is just Excedrin, but he ate a whole bottle of whatever it was and shaved half his head.
Yeah,
because that's what you do.
We're cutting from there though, because Danny is going to call Dweeb and ask if he's seen Dino, and this causes more conflict between Dweeb and Old Guy because they're arguing, and just out of the blue, Old Guy mentions Dweeb's religious stuff, and then he goes on an insane rant about how religion is just social propaganda to subjugate the meek.
Yeah, whoever wrote this movie just looked up, like, atheist arguments.
The worst atheist arguments.
Yeah, like, this kid doesn't come across as somebody who's studied
No, not at all.
this.
But then he continues further. Are you telling me that some Chinese guy or Native American from 400 years ago is going to hell just because he's never heard of Jesus? God isn't real, and everyone's all alone. I'm like, what the fuck did this come from?
What is happening?
Why is he going on this unhinged rant in a conversation about don't talk to the police?
Right.
But Dweeb insists that he's not alone. But of course he means this two ways, because he means Jesus, of course.
Yeah.
But he also brought along Shell Shock, who was a soldier and can therefore super murder Old Guy if he needs to.
Yeah, and Old Guy knows him because they're about the same age. I guess they went to high school together, probably.
With Cop. And so it's Cop, Old Guy, and Shell Shock are all
the same age.
Peer group.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in their mid-20s.
Fortunately.
And he's taller and cooler than Old Guy, so... Yeah.
Fortunately, no violence breaks out because Shell Shock Guy is just that intimidating. Mm-hmm. So now Shell Shock and little brother Danny are having a conversation about what Danny is up to. And it ends on a pretty poor note because it's just so much work to live up to being Shell Shock's little brother. Do you know how hard it is for me? Blah, blah, blah. And they leave on bad
Danny's
terms.
the worst.
Danny's the worst. The cops show up at Dweeb's house to talk to Dino. Apparently they tracked him down to there. And Dweeb is not going to let them into the house because they don't have a warrant. They don't have a warrant to arrest Dino.
Right.
Let alone any of them.
This kid knows his law.
It's pretty solid.
I like it.
Yeah, he's pretty cool in this moment.
No, yeah, he has cool moments for sure.
And he's not just going to let him inside his house. And further still, he goes further. And he confesses that he's the one that gave Party Girl the heroin. Mm-hmm. And because he's also the one who called 911, they can't do anything.
I love this moment.
Because
also, is that a real law? We don't have it in Georgia.
We may not have it here.
Yeah.
It's a thing that comes up because of this.
Yeah.
Like, she's ODing. Well, don't call the cops. Just let her die.
Right.
Because we don't want to go to prison. So they started passing laws where if you call the police, you cannot be prosecuted for the drugs.
That's awesome.
Because you tried to save a life.
I really think that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have it here.
We don't have anything progressive here.
But I think we might have, because we were hit pretty hard by the same sort of opioid epidemic. So it might be new though, like the past few years.
I want to look into that actually.
Yeah, we should find out.
We should find out.
But he basically says, because they are in a state, whatever state it is, where that is a law. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I did it. I
They're
gave
in
her the
California.
drugs. Yeah. And he's like, so you can't arrest me. You can't arrest him because he didn't do it. It was me.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Get out of my face.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, this kid's rad.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid move. And so he tells Dino about the nice little loophole they found in his religion. Because he's like, you're, like, religious. Are you going to just lie to him like that? He's like, lying against your neighbor is one thing. Lying for your neighbor is a different one.
Yep, I like that loophole. But also, he did point out that technically he did give her the drugs because Dino passed the heroin bag to Dweeb.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He did say that.
In
That's
that
right.
scene, yeah. And so, like, Dweeb was holding the little bag of heroin, like, inspecting it, like, what the fuck? And then she walks up and takes it out of his hand.
Oh, right, because I think he asked, like, is this cocaine?
Yeah, he said something like that. But either way, he didn't lie.
Yeah,
Technically, she took it from his hand. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
So it's great for them. And this is when...
It's a kid genius.
Yeah. And I was a little wrong earlier. This is when Dean has the freak out and cuts his hair off.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He stole some drugs and cut his hair off. But
right.
It doesn't matter. It's the same scene. And so Dweeb finds him in there, and he takes Dino over to Kevin Sorbo from the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
Because now they have to try to get him clean.
Now we know where... Yeah, this is all
full circle.
all back to the beginning.
So Sorbo tells Dean no.
What?
Sorbo tells Dino that he's not going to manage to get clean without God, so it's about time that he submits. And Dino calls out just how weird this week has been.
And that, by the way, is really fun for me, because it reminds the audience, oh, this has happened in 1 week.
It's been like 3 days.
It's been like a few days. Yeah, like, it was... from the beginning...
Yeah. In this moment, Dino is the audience.
In this moment, everything that's happened with all of these characters has just been a few days.
Yeah, Dino is definitely speaking for the audience at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is bizarre.
Yeah, this is a crazy-ass week.
But anyway, we're moving on, and Party Girl wakes up, and she's very thankful to Dweeb for saving her life.
Oh, man, the way she wakes up, too, that is not how one gets out of a coma. Just instantly knows exactly what's going on. Oh, hi, Mom, and then hugs everybody.
Yeah.
No.
I was in a coma. I remember this.
Yeah.
No, you wake up in a start. What the fuck?
Or you're unable to
dreary.
move that way. Yeah. Whatever. Go on.
But Party Girl and Danny are supposed to go out again. But she gets in the car and she confesses that she was only dating him because she thought that he could score her some pills, which he did. And he was kind of cute. But she's clean now, or trying to be, and so she can't believe some of the stuff that she did for the high, including going out with me.
Right.
Danny says.
Ugh, he's the
like
worst.
a fucking loser.
Like a loser.
And he says, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Whatever, just keep going out with me.
Just keep going out with me. And
you're looking desperate, Danny.
Yeah, but she breaks up with him anyway because she's not certain she can be anything other than a drug friend to anyone. And so she tells Danny that as long as he keeps his mouth shut, they're all in the clear. She said that she got the pills from some guy in the park or something.
Yeah.
So just don't tell anybody and you're going to be good. She can't be arrested for the drugs because she almost died. Dweeb covered the heroin part.
Right.
Everyone's covered, honestly. And so she hops on a train in protest over the protestations of her sister, who had joined the movie earlier, but I never mentioned because she doesn't matter.
No, she does not. She's also from the same grade as Shell Shock and Cop, and yeah.
Party Girl is going to get on a train to go see somebody. Him. You're going to go see him after all this time? And
obviously it's her dad.
It's her dad. And obviously it's Stephen Baldwin.
Obviously it's Stephen. Oh my god. M. Night Shyamalan.
Even after he abandoned the family, we find Stephen Baldwin praying to God for a sign that he's not alone. And just as he finishes his prayer, Party Girl knocks on his door, giving him a reason to believe.
Yep. He's in his like high-rise hotel room praying. He's like, just give me a sign. And then knock, knock, knock.
This is awful.
Then he like hugs her tummy.
Yeah.
That was weird. I wouldn't want Stephen Baldwin near my teenage daughter in any capacity.
They do a nice cry together, and we're just supposed to be filled with feelings, I guess. And
yep.
So now we're going back to Dino, and he's talking to Kevin Sorbo about the solemn oath that he took to do bad. But the good news is, you can't make a solemn oath to do bad.
Oh, question. That was a weird part for me. Did he join the Satanist cult? Like, is he a Satanist? Did he already give his soul to the devil?
I don't know about that part because he did mention it.
Yeah.
I think he was just primarily talking about the pact in the woods to not say anything.
You think that's it?
That's what it was.
But that's not That wasn't demonic.
I don't know, man.
Because he does mention the devil. He's like...
No, he does. Yeah, you're right.
I have no idea. I'm like... I don't know. He's a kid.
Maybe old guy's supposed to be the devil?
Maybe, yeah. He could have gotten mixed up in the occult. I don't know.
Who knows? But Kevin Sorbo tells him the good news is Jesus can save you from it. So now Dino...
Especially the devil.
Especially from the devil. So now Dino wants to confess about the drugs that hurt Party Girl. And so he goes to the police station where it just sort of fades.
Intending to fuck everything up for everybody.
Yeah, but then it just sort of fades out and nothing bad happens, I guess.
He was smiling like he was already feeling relieved that he was going to be telling. Yeah, I guess.
But so we're cutting scenes because he's fine.
Yeah.
He goes to church where he meets Dweeb and Kevin Sorbo.
Now they're all friends. They all go to church together. Everyone's happy and clean.
Basically, every major character except Danny and Shellshock end up at this church. So this is Party Girl, her mom, Stephen Baldwin, Kevin Sorbo, Dino, Dweeb.
Yep.
The cop, I think, is there.
I think the cop is there.
Everyone's there.
Right.
Except for these two. But Danny is having dinner with his family, and in the last possible scene, Shellshock finally comes over to the house and joins them.
Yep.
While Dweeb and Cop share coffee and bond. And the movie's over, and my last question is simple. The fuck did I just watch?
What the fuck did we just watch? And technically, Josh, the movie's not over. We have the weirdest end credits of all time. Did you watch all of them?
No.
Here's
I was so over it.
Did you at least get to where they had... where they had the big group of black people from Gary, Indiana. Oh, yeah. That's a real traveling chorus or whatever. Huge.
Yeah, I saw the chorus. I didn't know where they were from or anything.
Gary, Indiana, which, Michael Jackson. Anyway. Here's what happens. They start putting names over the actors.
Yeah.
So that we know which actors played which characters.
Yeah.
But they only do 3. Then they only do 3 of them. Then they start rolling the credits over, and this is all while the black chorus is singing and everybody's cheering and whatever.
Yeah.
And the credits are rolling, but then they start over the credits that are scrolling. They start putting the names up again.
What?
For more of the actors. So you can't read anything because the scrolling credits are blocking the actors' names as they're going through. And then eventually the credits are over. Danny is walking through an orchard with a dog. A dog we've never seen up until now. And what's he doing? And what does this mean? I hate this movie, Joshua.
It's his new girlfriend. Yeah, this movie is, I think, possibly the worst we've seen.
It could easily be. Worst in competence.
Yeah.
For sure.
But, it's awful in every way.
Yeah.
There's nothing good here. Well, we have to come up with something, because we're doing best and worst now.
Okay.
What's the best and what's the worst?
Best was, I'd say, Dino's character being the one to represent the audience and ask the ask the real questions.
What is this week?
What the fuck? This has been a week. What a crazy amount of things to happen in a week. Also, you're 25. You are the nanny. You're a drug nanny. Yeah, don't hang out with teenagers.
That's what I was going to say. That's my best.
Yeah,
calling him on being the party nanny.
Yeah, you're absolutely, that is definitely the best.
What is the worst?
The worst is the way Stephen Baldwin's face makes me feel. It's very similar to Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I have a very similar reaction to Nicolas Cage.
A visceral response to seeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable, very unhappy.
I get that. My worst is going to be... I'm going to go with the thing I noticed and talked about probably the longest, which was that weird sound.
Terrible sound editing.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. It's just so bad.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're not exactly professionals. But
not even kinda.
I would notice if every piece of dialogue in my movie had this weird vacuum of sound in it.
Yeah. Did this ever play in theaters, or is it straight to Netflix?
I would be amazed if this played in theaters.
Really?
I would be.
Because we've seen some things that played in theaters, and they were shocking.
I cannot believe this would ever play in a theater.
I refuse to look it up either, so we'll never know.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
I don't care.
It was when you were wanting to look up some reviews and stuff for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a Wikipedia article.
No.
It's not that notable. It has an IMDb page. I don't know. It didn't. It's relatively unknown even in the genre.
Right.
So I don't think it ran in theaters.
How do they get these things on Netflix? Does Netflix pay for these, or do they pay
They
that
probably
Netflix?
pay him, but they give him like $300.
Yeah.
Like, here's $300.
$300 to make a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like how do they get made? I don't know. People with money. These
kinda-
are profitable. This movie made money too, I guarantee.
Yeah. No, I believe that. There's a whole community for it. Anyway.
Right. Let's talk about what we should watch instead.
Okay.
Things like this.
This has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
It's just the only thing I care about right now. If you have never seen it, please watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I'm watching it again for the third time. No, fourth. This is the fourth time. I introduced it to my parents recently. They both got really into it. So every time I watch through these 2 seasons of this great show.
It's about a lady comedian in the early...
In the 50s.
50s, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. And it's by the same writer, creator, producer as Gilmore Girls. So it has that it has the quick dialogue, quick wit, but it's way better than Gilmore Girls.
Good.
From an objective viewpoint. I love both, but...
Cool.
So, don't watch this garbage trash.
Watch The Marvelous Mrs. Mabel.
Maisel.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So
First
good.
try.
For me, I just went with... I was kind of dumbfounded. So I said, go watch one of those piece of shit Mother's Day movies or something.
Yeah. I guess any teen movie would work.
Yeah. It's equally pointless.
Yeah.
It's equally pointless, but at least it was made by people who can make movies.
Yeah. Go watch Can't Hardly Wait. It's 90s-tastic.
Yeah. So now it's time to talk about what we are doing next week.
We're doing Secret Adventures. I'm so excited.
I already found 2 episodes.
Which ones are we doing?
Shrug.
Yes.
And something that starts with an S.
I think a lot of them started with an S.
Okay.
Every one of them is a one. The episode is like a one word.
Yeah. I don't know. Self, maybe?
I don't know. I'm so excited.
It wasn't shit, but I keep thinking shit.
We've talked about this on record before, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, to remind anybody, or if somebody hadn't heard that,
In Bible Man, which just came out today when we record this.
Oh, okay.
You
So
mentioned it.
if you will recall, audience, last week's episode I discussed these video tapes that my aunt sent me when I was a kid, when I was still, considered to be on the Christian spectrum. I love them.
Yeah.
I love them.
I have no idea what they are. I know there's a toaster. I saw the toaster.
I can't wait to share this with you, Josh.
Yeah, so I figured I'd make it somewhat easy since we have a lot of work to do.
Thank you. This is a kindness.
So yeah, so we're looking forward to that. You're going to be excited. Hopefully it'll be
I'm
easy
already
to do.
excited, and I'll stay excited.
It's on the playlist that we use already. So you have
YouTube.
it. Yeah.
Groovy. I'm in.
And remember, if you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app or service you are using, and tell your friends about us any way that you can. Write it on their foreheads. You do a lot of writing ones.
You do. I wonder what's on your mind.
Writing. Yeah. And because we need the attention. Links to everything are in the description of this episode. That includes links to social media as well as anything else I deem worthy.
Groovy.
Anything you want to say at the end?
No, I think it's great.
You want to show some appreciation?
For who?
Whoever.
Thanks, Josh.
Not what I expected. And thank you for listening to us goof off.
Thanks,
together.
guys. We really appreciate you.
It's great. Bye.
Bye.